Congratulations to your new position as the director of climate change adaptation. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
Irawan at PhD. Yes, yeah. Welcome to Makassar. Your, I think your hometown, yeah.
Yeah, this is my hometown.
Your hometown. But yeah.
I grew up here in Makassar.
Uh-huh.
I undergrad in here.
So this is your, I think, the third month or fourth month as a
Director?
2 months. 2 months. Okay. Now we are in the same hotel and discuss. We are going to discuss about the. Maybe I think all of us want to know more about the function, the role of the Directorate of Climate Change. Climate change. Yeah. So tell us about your roles and what are the objectives of that.
Okay, so I'm just appointed as Director of Climate Change Adaptation in the last 2 months. Before that, I'm working for the Director General of Biodiversity Conservation.
Biodiversity conservation.
For almost 2 years.
2 years.
And then before that, I'm also working for the Climate Change Directorate and the Department of Inventory of Greenhouse Gases.
So greenhouse gases.
So it's not the Directorate of Climate Change is not new for me. My master degree related to climate change and also my PhD also related to climate change.
Both are related to climate change.
Most of them are related to marine science.
Yeah, from Masadun University as a marine science and technology alumni, Mr. I call him as Pak Wawan. Yeah, it's a very what can I say?
Nickname.
Nickname. Now, about the idea. I mean, is there any specific request from the minister or your superior? I mean, about this role. I mean, the reason why they choose you as.
It's not why they choose me.
Not you.
Yeah. It is not why they choose me there, but according to the regulations that in climate change adaptation we have a target.
All right.
So, in order to, it's like they call the indicator kinerja utama.
Okay. IQ. Yeah.
IQ.
Okay.
That climate change adaptation have to register 20,000 climate.
20,000.
How do you call it? Climate proclaim. Climate smart village. Climate smart village.
Yeah. Climate smart village. Yeah. For villages to be strengthened, or they may able to adapt.
Something like that. So we choose like 20,000 this year.
20,000 villages, right? To be strengthened. Okay.
But but for me, it's just a number.
And it's just a number. Okay.
You can choose 20,000, 25,000, but behind that we have to encourage our villages. To working or to conduct climate action. That in order they are to adapt to the climate change.
That's target. Okay.
So right now, as you can see that you heard every day that all of us are affected with climate change.
Yes.
And how to cope with that.
Your position now is a director of adaptation. I think good also for us to understand more. Simply to understand adaptation and mitigation. You mentioned before that it's like we are in the same room, and then you may give explanation.
It's like a simple analogy for that. Mitigation and adaptation is, if mitigation action is how to reduce the impact. I mean, if in mitigation, if you're in the room and then the condition is very hot, you can simply install the air conditioner. That's a mitigation. In adaptation, if you're in the room and the room is quite hot, the simple things that you can do for adaptation is you can open your clothes or using the light clothing, or you can just simply make a adjustment to the condition. So there's a difference between mitigation and adaptation.
It is way to understand about the difference. Okay. Is there any like specific intention or objective from your side to tackle or to contribute in the adaptation program?
Yeah, there are a number of tips. There are a number of programs that have to be conducted in adaptation.
Okay.
Yeah. The important thing is about to increase the resiliency of the people.
To increase the resiliency of people. Okay. Number one.
Yeah, there are three types of resiliency. Resiliency in terms of social, economy, governance, and
landscape. Okay, it's already stated in the development planning.
Development planning.
Okay, and
that's the one task that we have to conduct. The second one is to encourage sectors. We call it sectors.
Yes, to encourage sectors to take roles and
in adaptation. But in adaptation, there are 5 sectors that need to be encouraged. First is energy.
5 sectors: energy,
water, health, disaster, and now there's an ecosystem.
Okay.
But the ecosystem will contain all of them, isn't it? Not only energy, but the ecosystem or landscape they have to kind of collaboration between all of them. We have to encourage them, encourage the sectors to contribute to the climate. The adaptation will impact of 4 or 5 of these sectors.
Okay. That's the second target. So?
And the third one is we also promote the how do you call it? It's kind of like a index for vulnerability.
Okay, index vulnerability index. Yes. It's already stated in the document, the plan, right? Okay.
We call that CIDIC. System
informasi. Kerentanan.
Index vulnerability. Because we do need this kind of index in order to develop. In order to develop our management plan.
Okay. So that's the third part of dimension of your role. Okay. The other one?
The next one is we have to in adaptations that we also do program for capacity building
to strengthen the capacity of whoever.
Consists of community, government, private sector, and today we are in Makassar. We collaborate with Hasan University in order to
increase the understanding, the knowledge of the participants. Okay. That's the fourth one. And the last one.
The last one is about designing the strategy and regulation for adaptation. Currently we are on developing second NDC, second National Development Contribution, and adaptation will be part of it. Before that, they talk about not only, but most of them talking about mitigation. And now we are introduced there is a second part, there's an adaptation part that should be included in our document.
Okay. So from those 5 aspects, you might say, if I might say, 5 aspects, have you observed what kind of part of those 5 is the most difficult or the easiest way to? Do you have any like a priority or something like that? Or is it like in parallel?
In my case, should be running parallel.
Parallel at the same time.
Should be running parallel. Because all of them are interlinked, isn't it? If I were to talk about the NDC, I have to talk about the city.
How do you observe the capacity of like region or areas? Because I think you mentioned about capacity building, but not only capacity in terms of their knowledge or their skills, but also their commitment. So many leaders.
There are so many aspects in dealing with the commitments of the
commitment of the leaders.
Commitment of the leaders in the local government, in the in the academia or in the public sector, private sector. Yeah. And then, the program like this one that we conduct today, it is a part of how to measure. It's not measuring in quote, but to understand the commitment of this
parties,
the parties. I think there is no simple measurement, but dealing with them, I mean, discuss with them, and engage with these parties, and then in the end, they know that this is the commitment that we need.
The viewers, today we have a focus group discussion attended by NGOs, researchers, universities, regional government staff, or lecturer, from the so many parties. But Pak Wawan, I think it is from my side state that commitment can be measured by how they allocate resources. We are facing difficulties about budget allocation, low capacity of regional or district and municipalities to allocate resources. Is there any solution for them, for regional government or maybe district?
If you talk about that, the distribution of budget, manpower, models, and etc., and our strategy and regulations. The simplest way, I mean, the strategic way to conduct one is to encourage them to include this climate change, or to mainstream the climate change in their management.
The development planning.
Development planning. So we have to mainstream climate change into the development plan.
In their document plan, they may describe about the need for the resources, right?
Needs, capacity.
But is there any possibility for outsiders like donors or international agencies to involve? Do you have any specific concern?
Indonesia is now we have a BPDLH.
What is that?
Badan Pengelola Dana Lingkungan Hidup.
Okay, Environmental Management Board, like that. Under your ministry?
No, it's under Ministry of Finance. It means that but supervised by the Ministry of Environment and Forest.
All right. Okay.
So there are a number of sources for the if we talk about funding, employment now I think it is a number of sources for that. One source that already implemented is from the data. If we talk about climate change fund or environmental fund. So and now all of the local government, province, they got share from they call it result-based payment.
Result-based payment. For example, you may describe about that.
Result-based payment is because the government or local government contribute to manage their forest.
All right. It's funded by the local.
It's funded from Global Climate Fund,
including global.
But they are put the money in the high now. Changing the money.
It's based on our regulation.
Based on our regulation. And now from the way we measure the activities of the local government and conduct the ministry for it.
It means you encourage district government or municipalities government to approach the DPD through the ministry. Both finance and your side.
Currently we already distribute the money. There is a regulation to distribute this fund from the BPDLH too. to the local government, province government, and they can use that money, use their fund for
adaptation,
mitigation of climate change and environmental.
Okay.
But this is only one sources. There are a number of sources that we can tap. And then I think regulation in Indonesia is very clear how to access the fund and how to use our
Okay, interesting. Dear viewers, I think again one last question to our director, Mr. Irawan Asad. Do you have any specific requests for the regional government or eastern part of Indonesia that they're facing difficulties for forestry, coastal? Do you have any advice for them to take to take responsibility in this adaptation schemes in the future?
Yeah. The main thing that I would like to suggest or recommend to the local government is first mainstreaming. Please mainstreaming the climate change program, either mitigation or
the development plan.
Because if you conduct the plan, if you inserting the climate change plan in your development plan, it's going to be very complete, isn't it? Because climate change is not only talking about your area, but also now we are talking about landscape approach. You can only measure that the climate is only in your jurisdiction,
but also interboundary or inter area.
Interconnection area. So that's the first thing. So that's my
the development plan, including the complete detail about like budget, right?
Budget, how to distribute the program, etc.
Okay.
The second thing is about the capacity building for the local community.
Yes, capacity building for local community, including government planners maybe. What do you think?
Government planners also. But in my case, that we would like to see that the climate change action, adaptation mitigation, conducted by local communities.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
Because they are the one who most impacted by the climate change.
There's only two. Advice to the government.
There are number of advice, but I think
I think that's too enough. That's too enough. First, how a local government, for example, how they provide development plan that covers adaptation, right? And
climate change
program. And secondly, capacity building for the villagers, for the community, right? Despite also some problems, challenge to strengthen the capacity of planners, including policymakers. Okay, Pak Irawan, thank you for the interview. We hope on behalf of Bela Kita, we hope that this podcast useful for you to be considered for your future development, especially in climate change issues. Greetings from Makassar.